Hi, it's Natalie with Nat Christmas Autism Girl. I'm with one of my best friends, Alana.
Hi.
She's right here. And we're going to be talking about one of both of our favorite couples, FitzSimmons from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. today. So thanks for joining us today.
Yes. So there is a spoiler warning if you haven't seen Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. or if you're planning to watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., we are covering all of the seasons. So, just a slight spoiler warning. So, in season 1, we're introduced to FitzSimmons, and they are scientists. Fitz is an engineer, very intelligent, and so is Simmons. She is a biochemist. And they work together as a pair to help S.H.I.E.L.D., which is, like a superhero agency within the Marvel Universe. And so they've always been best friends since they've come to the academy, but Fitz is in love with Simmons, but she just sees them as best friends. But at the end of the season, the bad guy locks them into like this cube and puts them in the bottom of the ocean, and they feel like they're about to die. And so Fitz finally admits to Simmons, because he thinks they're about to die, that he is in love with her and that, he wants to be with her, and like he can't live with himself if like something happens to her. So he like gives her the oxygen tank and to give her like the best chance of survival. And so they're able to escape, and she's able to have the oxygen tank, and they are rescued, but he does suffer like some damage from being deprived from oxygen for so long. But yeah, that's like season 1.
Alright, so season 2 comes around, and Fitz is having severe mental issues because he has hypoxia from the lack of oxygen he had from his brain. So he has damage to his, I believe it's his temporal lobe or it's his frontal lobe.
Yeah.
One of those two.
Yeah, probably frontal, because he was having trouble talking and everything.
Yeah, so he was stuttering, having trouble controlling his hands, and he was hallucinating Simmons. And you don't know that till like a few episodes later that he's hallucinating her. But she's undercover with the bad guys, Hydra, and she's worried about him, but she thinks that he's better off without her.
Yeah.
So she leaves and tears him apart, but, and then they're reunited, but then an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. dies, and so she's kind of against all aliens and superpowers. So then when they find out that the character Sky, who's later revealed to be Daisy, but it doesn't matter, has powers, he keeps it a secret. Of course, she's mad when she finds out the truth. And he's mad at her because of how she's been acting. But then in the season later, they become friends, and then he asks her out, and then she's sucked into this monolith that brings her to another planet. And that's the end of season 2.
Yes, and that was probably the worst cliffhanger ever. Is that, he finally, like, they work through all this stuff, and then he finally gets to ask her out, and they're about to go to dinner, and then she gets sucked into, like, this rock. It, like, turns into liquid, and then it sucks her in, and it takes her to, like, an alien planet that
It's desolate.
Desolate, yeah. It's always dark. She has to, like, hunt for her own food. And she feels like she's gonna die. And she, like, just keeps watching this, like, recording that she has of, like, her and Simmons and, like, the group.
Fitz.
Oh my gosh, Fitz. Yes. Simmons is watching a video of Fitz and all her friends. And she feels like she's gonna die by herself on this alien planet. But she ends up meeting someone else there, and his name is Will. And he is, like, an astronaut?
Yeah.
And so, at first they're just friends because, they're the only two people on this alien planet, and they don't think they're ever going to be able to escape. But then, as time goes on, and, like, I think it finally sinks in that she's never going to be able to leave, like, they start developing romantic feelings for each other, and so, like, they're in love. And so, which is devastating, but understandable. But Fitz figures out a way to get her back. And so he rescues Simmons from the alien planet, and she's still in love with Will because she never thought she was going to be able to see Fitz again. But then her and Fitz do like share like a very cute like romantic kiss because he's like trying so hard to help her, even though he's trying to like reunite her with someone else that she is in love with. And so they do end up trying to rescue Will from the alien planet, but he's actually dead. He's been killed by like this alien monster that ends up entering into like the regular world. But
Yeah, and they start a relationship.
Officially.
Officially become boyfriend and girlfriend, which is very exciting for all our FitzSimmons ship.
So good.
So come season 4. Now, there's a new boss, and Simmons works for up in the rank, at the top rank, and there's this guy who's secretly building a robot named Ada who falls in love with Fitz somehow, even though she's in life model decoy. But anyway, that's another story. And so she likes Fitz, so she kidnaps some people and changes their lives to where their greatest regret's gone. So Fitz's greatest regret was his dad. So with that being changed, and Ada, also known as Ophelia in this world, in the framework, it's called the framework, and she ends up making him her lover. And so he's this evil doctor who tortures inhumans and is in love with her instead of Simmons. And so Simmons rescues him, but he's torn apart and angry with himself for his behavior. He thinks he's just like Ward, and so eventually they're reunited, but he can't even look at her, and they have this really sweet moment. But they forgive him for what he did, but he hasn't forgiven himself yet, because he's been hearing the guy's voice, which you don't find out till the next season. But he does this thing where he decides to help them by staying behind, but then they convince him not to. But they end up taken to the future, which is how we leave off till the next season, which Alana will take us away with the next season.
So they're in the future in this next season, and it's really just Simmons and the rest of the group, right? Like Fitz isn't there yet.
No,
and like Fitz has like sent himself there from the past, like almost like frozen himself, so then he would like wake up, you know, like in 70 years or something.
Yeah.
Anyway, but Simmons is like, she's made a slave essentially of like the Kree, and she has like this device where like she can't hear anything unless, you know, she's being instructed by the Kree, who've like, I don't know, they're the ones who've taken over everything. And but when finally Fitz comes, you know, he's, you know, been frozen in time, like he's been waiting to come rescue them, and he has like this huge like romantic speech about how much he's missed her, and like, you know, how nothing can keep them apart, like throughout space and time, and like he asks her to marry him, but he doesn't realize that she can't hear anything. And so then she like turns around and finally realizes he's there, and she's like, we should get married. And it's just kind of cute, and because they both like proposed to each other, but they didn't realize it. So yeah, of course they end up fixing everything, and they end up getting married right after that, right?
Yeah, after they come back to the present.
When they come back to the present. Unfortunately, like after they get married, Fitz experiences like a psychic like split, and it's really confusing when it happens, but anyway, he tries to like remove this device from Sky/Daisy, which helps like with her inhuman powers, because he's like reverted back to the evil doctor that he was in the framework with Ophelia. And of course, like once they figure that out, like they have to like lock him up and everything. He's really ashamed because, you know, this is like still a part of him, and, you know, they try to convince him that it's not, you know, that was just him in the framework, but like that's still part of him because he did experience that. But they're able to be reconciled and everything's okay. But then Fitz dies. And it's very sad because, like, they finally had their happy ending. You know, they got married, they, like, reconciled after all this stuff, and then he dies.
Yeah, and it's a very gut-wrenching scene where we both cry. But,
Sobbing.
yeah, anyway, so season 6, I'm going to talk about it because in season 6, well, at the end of season 5, Simmons realizes that Fitz is still out there because he had frozen himself in time.
Mm-hmm.
So he hadn't come to the future yet because they had fixed the future. So now there's no need for him to go to the future. So she decides she's going to go rescue him. And it's really cool because she risks it. These people come together and they save Fitz. They find him. But then they're trapped in this mine prison at one point. And then she has to deal with his doctor self, and then he has to deal with her id. But then they decide that then he finds out he died and that he married her before he died. And he's very upset about this, but in the end they reconcile. And then you find out in season 7 they got married again, and they have a kid.
Yes, but you don't
know that until season 7.
Yes, like the end of season 7, because in season 7 they're fighting this like different kind of alien race. Do you remember what they're called?
The Chromicons.
The Chromicons, that was it. And she has to like implant this device in her where she like doesn't remember where Fitz is, because they would like the Chromicons would be able to like access, you know, like that information and find Fitz and like unfoil their whole plan. So, but then they like mess with the device because they're trying to figure out where Fitz is, and then she forgets about him. Anyway, very sad. But at the end of everything, like she's finally able to remember him and where he is. And like she's had like this sense of urgency the whole time, like something really important has happened, like why like this plan cannot be messed up. And so then she finds out, you know, they have Fitz, but she also finds out that they have a kid together. And it's a little girl. She has like cute blonde curly hair. And like that's like what they were fighting, or like what she was fighting for, was like her family, like not just Fitz, but like their kid too. And so it ends and like they're all happy together and they get to have, you hope, a normal like life together. Probably not, but
considering FitzSimmons, it may not be normal, but it's beautiful and happy. So we love FitzSimmons. As we've seen in this video, we went through their story, and so we love them because they're so perfect for each other. They have so much chemistry and they love each other, and no matter what happens, they're still fight for each other. And their story is kind of tragic, but it's also very beautiful. That's why I like FitzSimmons. Why do you like them?
Well, I mean, everything you just said, obviously. But I mean, I feel like at the beginning, Fitz always thinks they're cursed because like every time something, like some development in their story happens, like something bad happens. Like he finally tells her that he loves her, but then, you know, he suffers brain damage because they're stuck in the bottom of the ocean. And then he finally asks her out, and then she gets sucked into the monolith, and she falls in love with someone else, and then he gets trapped in the framework. But, like, even through all of that, like, they still, like, actively choose each other over and over again, even though it feels like the universe is telling them they shouldn't be together. But, like, they still pick each other every time, which is, like, what love is.
Yeah, it is. It's very sweet. So that concludes our video for today. We just wanted to share our thoughts about FitzSimmons together because we both love them. They're like one of our favorites.
Yes.
We call them our heart, my heart. But anyway, thanks for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please like, comment, and subscribe. Have a great day. Bye.
Bye.